Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Ismail. I'm usually hugs, not handshakes.
Oh, sorry.
We'll hug at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, let's hug at the end.
Dude, I'm feeling good because I just came from another podcast and I didn't get to prepare for this episode. But Ismail's already got my thoughts racing.
Yes, sir.
Before we even turned on the camera, so I'm really hyped. And you're wearing the white pants. You got the memo. Wow. Before
Pushing it up. Got to get more of a baggy pant vibe than fucking with the baggy pants.
Before we jump into the podcast, I'm going to go ahead and say my why behind the podcast, which is that I want to change the way people measure success. So most people measure success by money, possessions, achievements, or status. And the goal of my podcast is to change the way you measure success to relationships and memories, which I define as soul wealth metrics. I'm here with Ismail Hacking. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ismail Hacking. I am a 21-year-old. God, I don't even want to put a label on what I am. There's too many things. I'm just going to say I'm a creative turned businessman. Have a business doing real estate video production.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't like labels.
I think I should stop asking people that to intro themselves. So there's two options.
It's hard. Yeah.
There's two options I can do. Is either I ask someone to intro themselves or I intro them for them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. Like, I'll just do it so the audience has an example. So I would say, I'm here with Ismail Hacking. He owns Rev Video Productions. He works in real estate. He's a creative entrepreneur who also spends some time on YouTube. He's 21 years old, and today he's sitting down with us.
Okay, that was so good.
So like,
just use that instead of what I said.
But, I guess why I'm saying I should stop asking is not to say that I'm better, like I have the skill and I'll label the person better, but it's like, I think that a lot of people our age, regardless of the amount of success they have, which I would say you're a successful person, but regardless of the amount of success they have, they feel this imposter syndrome because they're young. So they don't want to be like, I'm the guy, like this is what I do, because they're like, I don't know if it's trying to be humble or what it is. It's just like people our age, they don't feel like they're worthy to like make that claim.
Yeah. I think that it's like subconscious and conscious at the same time. Like, I've been raised and like I want to always be humble and like obviously like not boast or brag about shit that I do, but it's like I also do, like I've learned with business especially, is it's all about how confident you act, not actually how confident you actually feel.
Yeah.
So I mean, public speaking too, I mean especially, it's like I've gotten a lot better at doing that, but even still introducing myself, something like as simple as that, it's so hard to do because I'm like, who am I? What actually, like, if I had to define myself in like an introduction, like actually what do I say? And like you saw right there, I don't really know exactly what to say.
It's really hard to ride that line of confidence versus pride.
Yeah, definitely.
And also just the camera is a whole nother aspect. It's like I know you're a good speaker. I just witnessed it. But it's like the camera comes on and people, it's like you're warming up again. Now people are like, how do I talk again on camera? Yeah. And I'm lucky that you have a lot of experience on camera, so you'll adjust quick. But sometimes I'll have people guests on and they'll, I don't want to say crumble. It's not like they fail, but you could really tell that their confidence, their persona has changed. Yeah. Because of the element of the camera. Another thing is, it's funny, I'm just speaking thoughts out loud.
Speak, bro.
Another thing is that I only film with one camera, which ends up meaning that instead of a camera filming me looking at you and a camera filming you looking at me, it ends up me and my guest have this awkward kind of thing where we're like, do we look at each other or do we look at the camera? Which I realize is a flaw that I need to decide on what I want to do with it. But to some degree, looking at the camera is great because it makes the Instagram clips look crispy. Yeah. But then it's like, yo, we're talking to each other.
Like, next to each other.
What is this?
Yeah. It's like we're looking at each other through the camera.
Which is stupid. So go ahead and you can just look at me or look at the camera, whatever you want.
I'll probably just switch off.
But I just like to acknowledge that beforehand. Because sometimes the guests like really have no idea.
It's confusing sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, what do you want to?
Well, I want to, dude. Well, you just dropped the bomb before the podcast came on, which is that you're an immigrant from Egypt. Which
no, I'm not. My mom is.
Your mom is. Do you speak an Egyptian language?
No, I don't speak Arabic.
Arabic.
Yeah, I know how to say a couple of rude things.
Habibi?
Habibi is great. Yeah. It's my love in Arabic. I want to say Hul Kelbi, and if anybody here speaks Arabic, you're gonna know that I just called everybody a female dog.
Oh god.
So that's like my extent of Arabic language, which is really bad considering my mom sent me to Saturday school for like, I don't know, I was probably in kindergarten when I first started, and I stopped in 8th grade before I went to high school.
Oh my gosh, you did 8 years there.
Yeah.
You didn't learn.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything. My brother's he's junior in college right now taking it, and it's like really hard in college. My mom's a native Arabic speaker. She took it in college when she was in college.
Yeah.
Had a hard time. It's a hard language.
Arabic, yeah. There's almost, if you don't learn it as a kid, there's almost no chance.
And I learned that as a kid, and I still don't know anything about it.
Dude, that's wild. I'm so intrigued with the word Habibi because every Arabic person I know, I heard what you say. It's like my love.
Yeah.
But then people use the word for like everything.
Yeah.
They're like my son, my daughter, my.
Well, it's like I think it's gender ambiguous, and it's like very like relationship ambiguous too.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like I love you, or it's kind of like just like a general like my love. You know, we don't really say it in English like that often. It's like I love my love. It's like my bro,
yeah,
my dog. It's kind of like similar thing depending on the context and who you're listening to.
What growing up, what like Egyptian influences? Like, were there any holidays you celebrated or anything that was just like so weird that no one else does?
So so basically in Islam, there's 2 things called Eid, and it's a 3-day holiday, and it's like it's kind of like Christmas, but it's not really like related to like a prophet or anything. It's more like for the first one, and I am by no means an expert in Islam. I'm like very much, and actually like to that point, like my dad is a white guy. My mom's Egyptian. He converted when my parents got married. So my dad's a white converted to Islam. Yeah.
Your whole family is Muslim.
Yeah. Well, at least my side of the family, and my dad's side of the family is Catholic. So I kind of grew up with a lot of Catholic influences on one side of the family, and then Islamic influences on the other side of the family.
That's a wild mix.
Yeah, I know. It's a really it definitely gave me a lot of, like you mentioned, imposter syndrome growing up, because I'd hang around our Muslim and Middle Eastern friends, and I would really feel alienated, and then I'd hang around with my, white, Caucasian, Catholic, Christian friends, and it would be like the same thing. Kind of never really felt like I fit exactly into one specific group. But actually, this is totally unrelated to what we were talking about, but that is actually manifested in the inspiration for a film that I want to make one day. I have a short film draft of it, but it's going to be a mafia movie, which is my favorite type of movie, crime dramas.
Yeah.
But it's actually going to be about Middle Eastern, a Middle Eastern crime drama. So in the media growing up, since we grew up in a post 9/11 world, in the media and in movies, TV shows, and in the news, Middle Eastern people have really been painted with a broad brush of terrorism.
Yeah.
And one of the main like motivating factors that I want to do and what I want to make with this movie is like a 3-dimensional portrayal of Middle Eastern people that, similar. Have you seen the movie The Godfather or The Sopranos?
I've seen them, but like if I'm not going to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, so the main point of that is that they are, Italian-American immigrants.
Yeah.
And at the core of their identity is that they're an immigrant and that they are a outsider in America. But then because of that, they do all of these illegal and wrong things. But the reason those movies and TV shows were so captivating for me as a kid was that they painted them with 3-dimension where they thought that they were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And that the ends justified the means, and they used their religion, like the Catholicism, as a basis for the mafia and like the family business that they had. And I'm going on a tangent here.
No, this is really interesting.
So
please keep sharing.
Yeah, so I have this short film draft that I'm going to turn into like a longer film where it's exactly like that, but Middle Eastern. So it's like going to show a powerful, dominant, strong Middle Eastern lead role. But it's going to have that nuance in there where it kind of shows that, their actions are kind of feeding into the negative portrayal. So it's like they think that they're doing something that's very noble and going to progress their culture, but in reality, they're just doing bad things because they're bad people, and it harms other people in their community.
That's so interesting.
Sorry, that was like a whole tangent on that.
No, I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
I guess what I'll begin with is, I wonder if people like those movies. I wonder if Americans like those movies because it almost puts like foreigners in a bad light. But I don't know.
That's a good point.
That's just something that came to mind.
Yeah. No, that's a very valid point. There's a really good story that they turned into a TV show about the making of The Godfather.
Yeah.
The Mafia had a very, 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 very big problem with them actually making the movie. Like threatened the producers of the movie with like violence.
What was that? When we made that joking movie about North Korea, and they like
Yeah.
The interview, and they hacked Best Buy or some, I can't remember. Remember they like hacked us?
Yeah, I remember that.
And they were pissed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, Narcos is all about Colombia drug bust, and Americans are obsessed with it. Like, I don't know what happens in Breaking Bad.
Oh my God. Breaking Bad is the number 1 influence of my movie.
You love it.
I love Breaking Bad.
Who's your favorite, like, movie director?
God, that's so hard.
I don't even know.
There's too many. I could tell you my top 3.
What are they?
Okay, my top 3. Okay, Quentin Tarantino, number 1.
Yeah.
The way that he writes violence is really good.
You go. I can't pick one. All right, Quentin Tarantino.
No, he's number 1. These are a non-specific order. Okay. Quentin Tarantino. I want to say David Fincher.
Yeah.
Have you seen like Fight Club, 7? 7's really good. So I'm a movie nerd. I watch
really uncultured. It's
okay.
Far away from movies.
It's okay.
Also.
It's okay.
I gotta hook you up with my buddy Hussein. He's also Middle East.
Was he on the show?
He was on the show.
I think I might have followed him.
He makes movie reviews, and he's like, dude, I've never met someone so knowledgeable about movies. Like, he was explaining to me when Oppenheimer was in IMAX. He was like explaining to me what the film type was. And
yeah.
Like, bro, this guy's next level.
That's kind of even deeper than I am.
No, but you guys would have a good chat.
Yeah, dude.
He loves Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan's
his number 1.
I overlook him. There's a bunch of directors that I love, and there's like a bunch of movies of like that I love, but like I kind of forget about them when I get asked. Like most of the time when I get asked, it's like Quentin Tarantino, David Fincher, and I don't even know.
It's okay.
Yeah,
you can just go with
let's go with those 2.
I will ask you, because I'm really intrigued. I'm a Christian, and I don't know. Are you a member of a religion?
So that's a really good question. It's taken me a very long time to kind of find my own like religious identity. I'd say the religion I most closely identify with is Islam.
Yeah.
But like I do realize that to me, religion feels more like a spiritual kind of thing rather than like a specific like set of principles and rules that I have to follow. Mm-hmm. I think to me, where I've found a lot of my belief has come from a couple of things. One, just the passing of my grandfather and my grandmother. So my grandfather on my dad's side, he passed away on December 2nd, 2021. So sophomore year of college. And then my grandma passed away just this past year, my mom's mom. Literally the toughest Egyptian woman you'd ever met. Literally probably took 100 grudges with her to her grave. Not something I want to pick up on. But so I grew up with those influences. Like my grandpa on my dad's side, he was Catholic, and my grandmother on my mom's side was Muslim. And I feel like I have a perspective on religion that is a bit different than most other people's. I feel like just because of that environment, I picked up on things that I loved about both and things that I didn't really love about both. But one thing I will say is that Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, 40% the same. 40% the same.
I think that's true.
40% the same. And that's something that's like, I have a profound amount of respect for anybody that's religious in any of those 3, but also in any religion, because I feel like, it requires a lot of humbleness, and it requires a lot of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it requires something in you to believe in that there's something else guiding everything that's going on around you. I feel like I look around myself and I look around at every possible mistake I could have made, and the fact that I didn't make it, or the fact that things turned out the way that they needed to turn out. as proof that there's something like guiding everything. And one thing that my mom would always say growing up was that Allah always has a plan. Allah is the Arabic word for God.
Yeah.
And that just something that guides me is that there's just some sort of plan going on that, you know, all I can do is put myself in the best position to be receiving of the gifts of the plan. But like really, I wouldn't consider myself a super religious person though. What about you? What's your experience like with religion?
I mean, bro, there's so much to say here.
Yeah.
I love sitting down with, like Muslims, even Mormons, especially other Christians. I'm very hesitant with the word religion too, even though I just asked you, because it's like, I don't know if there's an equivalent of this. Okay. You're welcome.
You're all good.
Hi, doggy. Oh, they're dying?
Really? He's got it. Big toe. Thank you.
Have a good day. See, I don't know if there's an equivalent of this in the Muslim religion, but this is what I would say, and a lot of Christians will say, is that they go, I don't like religion, but I have a relationship with Jesus. And so, like, why I would say I don't like religion is because every religion, including Christianity, including the Muslim religion, they have horrible histories where they genocided people, where they did bad things. The Catholic religion did a whole lot of tons of bad things.
The Crusades.
Yeah. And so it's like, for us, like because people will like ask me about like the Catholic Church or like things that the Christians did, and I'll be like, dude, you're right. Those things happened, and I'm not here to like convince you that they didn't happen, but I'm here to convince you that that's not what Jesus taught, because it's not. And so it's like,
that's valid.
It's like if someone reads a book and misinterprets it. If you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then you go slap a bunch of people and hit them with bats, and then you go, oh, I learned this from Napoleon Hill and How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's your interpretation that's staining the book. It doesn't mean the book was bad, but interpretation is staining it. And I believe that religions and churches and mosques have stained what the book says. And so I'm a very strong believer in the Bible, and I'm a very strong believer in Jesus. But I think that religion has failed and pushed a lot of people away.
Agreed.
The second thing I would say about that is like where you say there's a 40% overlap, you're absolutely right in the sense that so many of the morals are the same. Like the way you live, the way you love others, the quote unquote rules are very similar. So the really only huge matterable difference between Christian and Muslim is that we believe Jesus is God and you guys don't. And I'm calling you guys, but you're not even claiming.
No, all good, dude.
Yeah. But so
culturally culturally and like background, I would strongly consider myself Muslim, but you know, I don't really adhere to many of the rules. I'm sure I will later in life. I think that's another point, is a lot of people turn towards religion later in life as they become more accustomed with, you know, death and grieving and things going wrong in other people's lives, and wanting to thank something for keeping you out of harm's way. I think I'm just like, there's so many times in my life where I'm like, yo, I could have died here. I could have crashed my car here. I could have not gotten into this school. I could have not, you know, made it to a place in life where I feel like I had opportunities greater than what I had before. And I'm just like, I look at all of that and I feel like there's just so much of that was outside of my control. But again, to your point about like the interpretation, I think one thing that really my mom didn't really push religion onto me very frequently as a kid. It was more like, I'm going to put you in these things and you're going to see what it's about, but it's not like I'm going to drag you by the ear and go pray. And it's not like as well. Yeah, so it was very much like, growing up, I was like, Mom, why are you pushing this on me? Why are you pushing this? But like, as I've gotten older and I realized that, you know, I know people that whose parents were a lot more religious and a lot less, a lot more strict. And one thing that I really learned and that brought me a lot of respect, or earned a lot of respect in my book for Islam, was the Quran has never, not a single word ever been changed throughout history. Yeah. And that's something that really interests me, because, you know, there's laws and rules around it that you can't change it. And growing up, I did go to Catholic school for 1 year, freshman year of high school. And I just I had a really hard time interpreting the way that the Bible was different in like 2 different rooms inside of the same school. It was just really interesting to me. Like I don't know. Like I don't want to put you on the spot because I'm not going to have you answer to that. Like why the fuck is the Bible changed? But it's like interesting. It kind of begs the question is like why has it been changed throughout history?
I do actually have an answer for you.
Yeah.
And I love apologetics. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's called apologetics in the Muslim religion, but what apologetics is it's like answering the hardest questions about religion.
Okay.
And so to understand my religious story, which I think will give you a good understanding of why I have these answers, is I grew up Christian. My parents didn't force it on me. They made me go to church. They told me about it, but they weren't like you said, they weren't forcing. And I'm really, really grateful for that because
me too.
I think, and I'm glad that I'm not Catholic because Catholic's a lot more.
Yeah. Wait. What denomination?
I would say I'm non-denominational. Okay. There's so many different denominations, but to me, the way I see it is there's Catholic, Mormon, and Christian. And when I say Christian, Christian's like non-denominational, even though it oversees all of them.
Like Lutherans and Baptists.
But, dude, if you go to a Catholic church and you go to a Christian church, or like my church, it will not feel the same at all.
Yeah.
Catholic is like strict, dress up. There's a lot of big differences, but
Catholicism is, out of all of the denominations of Christianity, the one that I've witnessed the most.
So Catholicism, it's really hard to explain to you, and there's so many. I want to stay on route.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
But this is what I'll say the biggest difference, and this is why I'm not a follower of Catholicism, is that Catholicism is very, very rule heavy. I believe that the Bible is extremely clear that the way to get into heaven, Romans 10:9 says, if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart, then you will be saved. So I think that there's nothing you can do to earn your way into heaven, and that you are completely saved by saying that Jesus is Lord and believing in your heart that he's Lord. Now, Christianity is simultaneously way bigger than you think, and it's way smaller than you think. It's way bigger in the sense that 2.4 billion people claim to be Christians. Within Catholics, Mormons, Catholics, Mormons, Christians.
I know what you mean,
So it's way bigger. I bet all 2.4 billion of those people would say, I believe Jesus is Lord. But then it says the second requirement is that you believe in your heart. And it says like all these people say something, but and this is not to be mistaken for like I don't think you can earn your way into heaven, but if you believe something, it would change the way you act. So like, for example, if I said like, and I know you know the basic of the religion is that Jesus died for people's sins.
Yeah.
So if I said like, I'm going to shoot you with a gun, and your dad jumped in front of the bullet and he like died, and as he's dying, he says something really weird to you. He's like, Ismail, I want you to never eat an Oreo again. And then he dies, and you don't know why he said it or what, but let me ask you a question. Would you eat an Oreo again?
Probably not.
No.
Actually, probably stay far away from Oreos. Actually.
And so this is the thing. It's like you don't stop eating Oreos now because you think that one day your dad's going to die for you. But if you loved him and you believed he did that and you believed he died for you, then you would live that way. And like a lot of people are like, oh, I believe in Jesus. I believe like he's God and he died for my sins. But then they don't change the way they live at all. So it's like your actions reflect your belief. And it's not, I'm very careful the way I say it because I don't think that there's anything you can do to earn your way into heaven. And that's a whole different.
What does that mean?
So a lot of people say like, and a lot of Catholics believe, they go, if you go ask a Catholic, you say, how do you go to heaven? And they go, well, you got to get baptized. You got to go to communion. You got to get confirmation, confess to the priest. And I met a priest on like my walk across Spain, which is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that was sick.
But he said, like I asked him, like, he's like, oh, you're saved by believing in Jesus. But then I was like, if you went out tonight and like sinned and then you died before you can confess, he's like, I would go to hell. But it's like the whole Bible talks about how loving God is. And like to picture God up there, like he just has a light switch, like every little thing you do. Oh, you just told a lie? You're in the hell zone. Oh, you just like God tells you he's the most
forgiving.
He says 1 John 4:8, it says it's describing the love of God. It says such love is perfect because it says, God's love has no fear because perfect love expels all fear. If we are afraid, it is for fear of punishment, and this shows that we have not fully experienced his perfect love. So what that means is, like, as humans, we have conditional love. So if you're dating someone and they cheat on you, you're going to love them less. You probably break up with them.
Yeah.
If you have parents and you love your parents and then they beat you and they...
My parents never beat me, but...
Yeah. You're going to love them less.
Yeah.
So as humans, our love's conditional. Based on how someone treats us or acts, it changes. So we oftentimes think of God the same way. We think, based on how I'm sinning, God loves me less. Or
it's like a spectrum. It's like how bad you do things.
So, and the Bible tells over and over and over again, and it says it's not to be mistaken that you won't be corrected or you won't be punished. It says, like, any loving father punishes their kids. Yeah. But God's love is not changing for you. Is that people will do things and they'll feel unworthy of God's love. They'll be like, oh, like, I'm not going to look into Christianity because I have a bunch of sex and I heard that there's no sex before marriage. So, like, it's not even worth my time. Or they'll go, like, I lie all the time. So they think of it as a rule book. And it's like, God says, like, you don't even know me if you think of me like that, because you just think of me like these conditional. It's like the best representation we have of it is how a parent loves their child. It's like their child might go and crash the car. They might go and lie to them and sneak out for a date and crash the car, and they're going to get punished. But most of the time, the parent still loves the kid. And that's like how I try. Is God's even like greater with that?
Yeah.
He loves us even more.
I think that's a good point. I like the way that you are phrasing it, because it reminds me of something, and I'm by no means an Islamic scholar much about the religion whatsoever, actually. But in Islam, God, there's 99 names for God.
Yeah.
So there's 99 different like variations of like attributes that God has, and one of them is the most forgiving.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that, I mean, similarly, but a little bit differently, to that end, growing up, going to that Saturday school that I mentioned at the mosque, and I was like, I'm grateful for that time, but I did hear like a lot of different interpretations of what religion was. I had been told that like listening to music at one point was forbidden or like something like that. And I think that one thing that had kind of led me away from the religion for a while was people feeling like they had the authority to tell you how religious you were.
Yeah.
Very like I think I see memes about it all the time, like the haram police. Haram in Islam is forbidden. Yeah. So it's like you eat a piece of bacon and somebody pops up behind you and it's like you're going to hell. Like it's not like, I really think that that's not the way that religion was meant to be. It's more like your own individual relationship with God. And one thing that I'm going to sound crazy for this, but it really didn't click for me that I believed in God. You okay?
Hi,
dog.
Don't lose that dog.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Was really the way that losing my grandpa went down. So I lost my grandpa and I was in like a really, really, really rough space. I really didn't fully believe in God until I met my girlfriend, which is like a really weird thing to say, but there's just too many coincidences that went into me meeting her that kind of, I mean, I believe in God because of her. I never would have ever had a conversation with you about religion if it wasn't for meeting her.
That's crazy.
And she's not religious, but she
wears a cross. I know, because
she does wear a cross.
Such a weird thing.
She would like me to probably mention that she wears the cross because it was an heirloom and not because she's religious. But she she came to the mosque with me, and she really had a good experience.
That's awesome.
And she, what's crazy though? Yeah. This is so funny.
Yeah.
I didn't even eat Middle Eastern food until I met her, and she is like not Middle Eastern whatsoever. She's Caucasian, and she got me on a Middle Eastern food, and now I eat it all the time.
There's a place by STSU called Abraj.
I think I might have had that.
Iranian couple, and it's just a grandma or grandpa and they're the only people who work there, except I think their like granddaughters will visit and work there. And it's my favorite restaurant on earth, and it's really
my barrage. There's one called Fatouche, which is right down the street. It's on right next to Milo's Pizza. If you ever had that.
Okay,
it's in that.
Let's shows to a barrage then. We should go there. Maybe I'll.
Dude, I could probably be down depending on how hungry I am. Yeah. I know you're hungry. I had a big lunch.
There's a lot of thoughts here, but I don't want to ignore your original question.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm gonna get back there. But anyways, my parents were not super forcing about religion.
Yeah.
So
I think that opens the door for you to experience it.
I was always identified as a Christian. But, so the point that I was trying to make with you earlier about how I believe in faith, you're saved by faith. I think the Bible's really clear that you're saved by faith. I think that some sections misinterpret that and they go, and I think it's way more common in Catholicism to be like, oh, you have to do this, and this, and then you get your way into heaven. And why I think that is an important distinction is because if you're saved by faith and you only believe something, or you only believe something because it was forced on you by your parents your whole life, well, then you probably don't really believe it. And if belief and faith is the thing that save you, then that is not something that you can simply accept by indoctrination. Like, you can't just say, so many people just claim the Christian card because they grew up that way. And and a lot of people grow up that way and it does lead into a real genuine faith. But I'm so glad that I grew up that way, because it wasn't just, I literally got to a point where I would have never not identified as a Christian, but I went off, I lived the worldly ways, I did whatever I wanted to do, I joined a frat, I was partying, and when I came back to religion to search for it, I did not approach it like, I'm a Christian, how do I validate my views? I approached it as I was really the idea of one thing being right, how could Christians be right and Muslims be wrong? Or how could
That's a really good point.
A good God and still have evil happen?
It's a really good.
How could I had all the hardest apologetic questions, and I said I'm not going to be a Christian unless I get answers that satisfy me. And I thought that they wouldn't possibly exist. But the more and more the Bible says, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. And I really believe there's so many really, really difficult questions that I thought there couldn't possibly be an answer to, but when I looked, I found something that satisfied me. And so to give you an answer to the point with the Quran, which is really interesting because a lot of Muslims use this. They say
there's people coming.
Oh yeah. You guys are welcome to walk through.
Yeah, you guys are good. Yeah, no worries at all.
I actually
I want to keep that point. I like where I want to hear.
I like when people walk past the camera, not too much, but I like it a little bit because I feel like it gives people
you guys are totally okay. Don't worry.
It gives people a sense of the city. So it's like when I filmed the podcast in New York City and we're getting all these interruptions and people were throwing up gang signs, and I was like, damn, this podcast feels like New York City. And now
I love that.
We're in San Diego.
Yeah.
There's beach and sunset.
Yeah.
We're walking by.
This is great.
It feels like San Diego.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, but not to tangent.
Yeah.
So, a lot of Muslims will use that as an argument against Christianity. They'll say, well, Christianity was written by 50 different authors over 1,000 years. Feel free to walk through. By 50 different authors over 1,000 years, and the Quran was preserved and kept perfect. And I believe even in the beginning of the Quran, I could be wrong, but I think it says something about we believe the same rules as the original Bible, but now we
the Old Testament I think is where the overlap is.
Yeah.
I think the New Testament is where, this is from my mom's told me, I think the New Testament is where things deviate.
Yeah.
Even in Judaism too.
Because Judaism, they just don't straight up.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Old Testament and then the Christian. Yeah.
There is some interesting things. So this is what I say. I really respect the Muslims for keeping it pure and perfect, and that's freaking amazing. But imagine this. Imagine I want to go start the religion of Ozzy. Well, I could spend 40 years writing my own religious text. And then I could just say, well, my religious text is true because it only has one author and it never changed. But imagine
That's a really good point.
that 50 people over the course of 1,000 years wrote different books, and each book perfectly aligns, even though the authors didn't know each other. The story is completely cohesive. The story makes sense. And I'm not here to like defend translations. Like, I think that people have mistranslated the Bible. I don't think that all translations are mistranslated. But whenever you say so, like Muslims speak like this, and Mormons speak like this too, where they act like they're the Book of Mormon or the Quran, they act like it's the direct word of God. So they act like God was like, here, Prophet Muhammad, I'm going to speak the words to you and you're going to write it word for word for word. And I'm generalizing because I don't actually know if that's how it was. But when they...
You guys can walk through it.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
No, totally fine. Yeah. Dude.
It's his podcast.
No pressure.
Literally don't apologize at all. You guys are totally fine.
Yeah, no pressure.
Thank you.
You too. So I think that it's a really dangerous place to be like, the book has never been corrupted. Because when you act like something is the direct word of God, that God was like, I want you, they basically act like it was like, repeat after me.
Yeah.
And then you write it down. But it's like, I think when religions do that, they're selling the...
You guys are fine.
You're good. I feel,
It's okay.
Don't
worry.
I feel like they're setting themselves up for failure, because the second you translate the language, like even if you're not changing, you're translating it.
There's going to be words that get
There's going to be words that get changed, and then you're breaking your own law of perfection, where you're saying, this was the direct word of God. Well, now the second you translate into language, Arabic to English, you can't get a perfect translation. That doesn't exist. So now,
I think that's a really good...
So now you're corrupting your own rule, whereas the Bible says that the Bible is God-breathed and God-inspired. There's moments in the Bible where the apostles will write weird things. It will be like, we went to the grave, but I was first. Or it will be like, it will be referring to Jesus, and it will be like the disciple who Jesus loved, and the person who wrote it is talking about themselves. It's like, I don't think God was up there being like, by the way, mention that you beat everyone else to the tomb and say that you're the disciple God loves. So I think God let people keep their personalities, but he inspired the word so that that we wouldn't run into the problem of being like, if you say it's the direct translated word of God, then you can never translate it into a language, or else you're just corrupting it. And to me, it's far more impressive for thousands of years, 60 different authors to have a cohesive story that makes sense than it is just for one person to be like, I never changed my book once.
Yeah. I think that brings up another interesting point about how I think it allows potentially for more flexibility and changes in attitudes and perceptions throughout time and history. It's interesting to me. I want to touch more about your soul wealth thing. That was one of the big things that I wanted to talk about today, because I've really found it interesting, and I find myself thinking about it because I feel like I have a lot of questions about it. I want to first ask you, how did you kind of come up with soul wealth? How did you kind of think about it? And then how does one, this is fun, but I want to know how one achieves or accumulates soul wealth, because that's something that I've really, I'll just be honest with the business that you're totally fine.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I have a lot of questions, but to add some context to my question, I've found that, in the 8.5 months since co-founding my real estate video business with Jonah, that, the motivation for monetary wealth just isn't really strong. It's just, it's like, I haven't paid myself. We haven't paid ourselves yet with the business. We've been reinvesting all the profit, but, I'm just like, I really, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. I want to have a nice, comfortable amount of money. And coming from the Midwest and living here in California, like, I need to be able to get to a certain level of financial stability to, thrive, and to pay my rent and to do all these things when I graduate. But I've just noticed that, almost everybody, not almost everybody, because we hear only about the negative ones, but, I feel like fame and wealth corrupt a lot of people. And one of my really big goals is, I want to accumulate wealth, but I also want to put that wealth to work and to on social issues that I find important. And I just wanted to know, like, first off, where did soul wealth come from? But also, like, is it, in your opinion, possible to accumulate soul wealth alongside financial wealth? Or is that something, are those two things mutually exclusive, or like you can't have both?
Bro, first of all, I gotta condemn you because I commend you.
Condemn.
Those are so different. Condemn it.
I was like, oh fuck.
You guys are all good.
Bye. First of all, I gotta commend you because you're very honest, like saying I want to get rich, and also just the way you ask me questions, and like this is very just enjoyable for me. It's like a new fresh taste.
I feel
the guest is like challenging me, and these are things I've thought about a lot because it's literally my brand. And so, to answer the first question,
there's a lot of multiple.
How did I get to soul wealth?
Yeah,
dude, there's so many things that led into it, but I'll say there's a big three, and one was hugely due to my ex-girlfriend, which was, as we talked about a little bit before the podcast, I dropped out, and dropping out came with huge pressure because I felt that I needed to be successful. I had the motivation of proving my parents wrong, which I think people sometimes glorify that motivation of like,
proving them all wrong.
When you get to this level, all the friends in high school are going to look at you and people are going to look at you. I used to glorify that motivation. I think it's horrible now.
It's not a good motivation.
Because that motivation comes from not being enough for yourself. And you think that by proving people wrong, you're going to fill.
It's like giving their own opinions validation when you shouldn't really worry about it in the first place if you were happy with where you wanted to go.
You're basically saying I'm putting myself, my happiness in what other people think of me. And you think that by getting to a certain level, sure, some people are going to glorify you, but then other people are going to hate you.
No, yeah, and that's external too. That's external to your own.
So the first thing is that I put a lot of obsession, a lot of my happiness, a lot of my self-worth in the future.
Yeah.
Which many, many people do. They go, I'll be happy once I have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
I'll be happy once I do this.
Those are all external and most of the time outside of your control too.
Well, think about this. You're creating habits. I'm sure you've read Atomic Habits or...
Yeah, I think I read, not Atomic Habits. There's another one. Shit, I forgot. It was a self-help book about habits.
Okay, so it's like when you put your happiness in a future goal or anything, what you're training yourself to do is to not have happiness in the moment. And to say that you're going to get there and you're not just going to instantly pick a new thing that you need for happiness is silly.
Yeah. No,
I prove it to you because you can look at people like Mr. Beast, who has 200 million subscribers, and all he's talking about is getting 1 billion. So it's like, bro. And
there's always going to be another level.
Another round. There's always going to be.
J. Cole has a really good quote on this from Love Yours.
This is one of my favorite songs of all time. He always says, "There's always going to be a battered girl out there on the tours. You're never going to be happy till you love yours." And
I was blanking on the actual quote. Thanks for filling in for me.
So that was a big taking.
I love that
happiness
point.
Out of future.
Yeah.
The second was completely with my last relationship with my ex-girlfriend. I had so much pressure from dropping out, and I so bad wanted to make my dreams come true that whenever I hung out with her, I would be like, I would cut our time short, and I'd be like, "Sorry, babe, I got to go work on this," or
that's something that I've been struggling.
I can't hang out because I got to do this. And to a degree, that's fine. Like, you don't want your partner to take you like away from your dreams, but to a much bigger degree, you're creating a harmful relationship because imagine if I die today or you die today, and imagine every time I hung out with my girlfriend, I was making it such a big deal about accomplishing my dreams and working hard, and I have to go do this, I have to go do that, and then I die, and the way she remembers me is someone who always put love aside to do work. And if you ask anyone how they want to be remembered on their deathbed, they will never say, "I want to be remembered for my subscribers, for what I accomplished." They always say, "I want to be remembered for how I treat people." But then they go and live on a daily basis for their work and their accomplishments. And it goes, if this is how you want to be remembered, if you want to be remembered for loving others, then why do you live for work? And
I'm so glad I asked you this question because this is something that I'm actually really struggling with.
And I know, bro, because you're an entrepreneur, you're like me, and I'm not perfect. The thing is, bro, the best entrepreneurs create solutions to their own problems. So I'm not creating soul wealth because I got it figured out. I'm creating it because it's what I struggle with, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, like, well, first to add context to this, because right now I'm the busiest I've ever been in my entire life. I'm pushing myself to the limits. I'm finishing up school right now. I'm in 20 units, building this business, and still, like, I don't, like, dude, and school's been killing me with, I had like 6 group projects, but I've reached a lot of breaking points in the last couple of months just because of how much emphasis I've been focusing on work and building my business. And I think one thing that really I've been like seriously struggling with is just trying to get myself to a point where I don't even have to think about work. Yeah. And I've made a little bit of progress in the last week or so, and I've been focusing on like the essential things I need to do, the projects that we've taken on, the clients that we've already worked with. But I don't even know, dude. Like, I'm at a loss right now because it's like I've been not paralyzed, but I've been really struggling with exactly what you mentioned of like setting my own happiness aside, not even just setting time aside from, you know, hanging out with my girlfriend, who's the most supportive and loving and just like downright like perfect person on this planet. Like, spending that time focusing on the business, working until 8-9 p.m., not eating for hours on end, just doing shit. It's like, it feels like it's the right thing to do in the moment. It feels like I need to sacrifice this time for myself now, and every little like minute that any extra is getting me like to that next level. But then every goal that I've ever like wanted to achieve and achieved it, like you get to that achievement, it's like, okay, what's next? It's like, okay, like it's like there's never enough. So I'm realizing that all of what I need to be able to feel like that I'm a successful person is only internal. And I'm still struggling with trying to find that and having to, like, to accept that in like, I am okay with all the work that I'm doing. And like, to another point on that end is, even when I do put myself away from work, even when I do shut my phone off because it's like, I don't even want to look at it, I still find my mind really hard to quiet and really hard. And I think it's just because I'm struggling with this I want it so badly feeling, and I'm putting this pressure on myself to, when I graduate, be able to live off of it, which is a really big external pressure. But like, it manifests itself in a bunch of different forms, mostly anxiety, restlessness, and dread, which is fucking a terrible feeling, dude. I'll like wake up and I don't know if it's because there's a lot of things going on with me right now. Like, I'm in the middle of a cut right now, and I'm just not having as much food in me, so I'm not waking up as early as I should. But it's like, I wake up and I kind of sometimes dread doing the business, because it's like, there's just always, it's like that jadedness. It's like, there's always like another thing, there's always another problem to solve. And it's like, half of the time I look at it like, that's a great thing, and I'm honored to be able to do that. And then the other half of the time I'm just like, God, dude, like, there's just so much shit for me to do. When am I going to get time for myself? Like, kind of thing. And I'm still struggling with that.
I mean,
it's tough.
Can I offer you some feedback?
Yeah, give me some feedback.
Because as a loving friend, I have many things to say, which is that, and you sound very similar to my story. There's a really popular story in the Bible where this guy builds a barn to hold all his livestock, and he goes, I'm going to build a bigger barn. And so he builds a bigger barn, he gets more livestock.
You guys are totally good to walk by.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, you can just walk by. Yeah, you're good.
All good.
Have a good time at the beach. Where he builds a bigger barn, and then he goes, oh, I want a bigger barn. So he builds a bigger barn, and he goes, I want an even bigger one. So he works and builds, and then he goes, all right, I'm gonna sit back and relax and enjoy this awesome barn that I built. And then he dies the next day, and God says, "You fool! Like you fool! You live for the future, and now you don't even get to experience it." And we as humans, we live as if we're owed. Like, if I had a friend 2 Sundays ago, a childhood friend. I hadn't talked to him 5 years. Motorcycle accident, died, and
I'm sorry.
And it was hard, but it's like, we look at that and we go, he was 22 years old. That's a tragedy. we act like people are owed 80 years minimum in life, but it's like, no, you're not. Like, you didn't create the earth. You didn't create that as the sky. You see tragic deaths all the time, but you live as if you're owed 80 years and that all your friends are owed 80 years. And it's like,
that's a really, 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 really good point that I've often thought about.
But I have more. I'm going to go in on
Keep going. Go in on me, dude.
First of all, like, jobs don't love you. People love you. So, but you allocate 99% of your time to jobs.
It's like 80%.
Okay, 80% of your time to jobs and 20% to people. But why? Jobs don't love you. People love you. And here's the real ringer to it all, though, which I can say from anecdotal research, is that we consider efficiency equal to time. So we go hours in equals like output. So if I'm up till 2 a.m. and I'm grinding all day, that means I'm going to have the most efficient work. It's not true.
That's not true. Yeah.
But it's like, I think like, so in the self-help world, there used to be a really big thing about waking up at 4 a.m. Wake up at 4 a.m. Wake up at 4
Still is a big thing.
Wake up at 4 a.m. But now there's a competing narrative with sleeping really good, where people are saying, oh no, it's all about sleep. The better you sleep, the better you perform.
Yeah.
But I would go, something I found in my own life was that I work much more efficiently and much harder when I'm spending more time with the people I love. And the equation is that's like the broader equation. But to zoom in micro, it's like, if I were to say, hey, do you work better if you're more fit or you're unhealthy? And you would say, well, more fit. That's why I go to the gym. Yeah. And then I would say, well, do you work better if you're happy or unhappy? And you would say happy. Well, do you work better if you're stressed or less stressed? You'd say less stressed. So what are the things that make you less stressed? And it's not sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours.
No, it's not.
Forcing. And so it's like, but people like me and you, we conditioned ourselves to make like time equals my career. Time equals what's going to happen in my life. But it's like, first of all, that's not always true. I've noticed for sure that I'm more productive when I spend more quality time with people. But second off, this is the scam to it all, is that...
There is a scam for it.
This is the scam to it all, is that if you had all your dreams come true, like you said, oh, I want to be rich, and you hit the richness, you can live in San Diego, you can buy a mansion, you can do all this, do you think that you're going to get more time back? People think that I'm going to get... The more money I make, I'm going to get more time back. No, you're not. You're going to have more employees. You're going to have more stress.
More headaches.
You're going to have more employees, more stress, more headaches. You're going to have to pay housing fees. And you think your relationship with people now, that when you make more money, it's going to get better? No, it's not. It's going to get worse. So
I feel like I'm caught up in this. Mind state, or in this just state where it's, I 100% agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I have so much to say.
No, I 100% agree with everything you're saying. I think I'm in this state right now where it's make or break for me. Yeah. It's very much like, I know exactly what you're saying, and I know, like, and actually it's the craziest thing is that I know that that's what I need to be listening to, but I'm also at this point now where, like, I got semester left in school. I need to know, and I need to have a financial future for myself. And it's like, I think that this is the dilemma that I'm in. So I want to have long-term lasting relationships with the people that I enjoy hanging out with, the people that I love being around. But honestly, like, I've found that maybe I just haven't found the right circle, or if I haven't found the right supportive people to be around. But really, like, it's me and my girlfriend. It's like, I have a lot of close friends that aren't here in San Diego right now. But it's like, I do feel like I have let relationships suffer at the cost of working on this business. But I really hope to say that if anybody's listening that is in my life, that is, that I haven't really kept in touch with as well as I should have, or they should be, that I need to make this time for myself to be able to, like, live. I just gotta live, dude. I just gotta have enough money to live. And it's like, I know my parents would financially support me as well, but being the oldest child, like, I don't want to be a bad example for my siblings, and I want to be somebody that, you know, I want to take what I've learned from my parents and grow with it. And like, I struggle, and I really need to find this answer. I don't know how I'll find the answer, but I struggle with balancing that, because I know that every dream that I have is within my grasp, but it's like, what, like, do I really want it? You know? And it's just like, not that I don't know what I want, but, you know, like, monetary wealth isn't obviously the end goal for me. It's just getting to a point where I feel like this sense of security, because I don't feel security around. I feel like there's this fire under my ass to get my shit figured out, because I've witnessed plenty of people that have graduated and not had any plan for themselves or anything. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be proactive, and I'm going to do something, and I'm going to try and get an opportunity for myself that allows me to have financial freedom, but also time freedom too. And it's like hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't really know, like,
your dilemma. I think like right now you're in like a very grind mode where you probably feel that like, I'm gonna get past a certain point and it's all gonna like, it's gonna come down a lot less. And I think to a degree you're right, because if you're taking 20 units in school and you're coming up on your last semester, it'll
graduating in the spring. So
it's like, and like, to be honest too, like, it's not like since I came up with Soul Wealth, I'm just like kicking it. Like, I still feel, and maybe this is a prideful statement, but I still feel like I'm one of the hardest workers I know. Like, I
damn right. Yeah, you're doing a lot.
So it's like, it's not that I'm like sitting here advocating that people should just work way less and not work hard, but there's so much to it though. I think
there needs to be balance.
There's so much to it. I think that you...
What would you, yeah.
It sounds like you have a fear of stability or money. And this is going to be difficult, because this is like, that fear to me is completely taken care of by God, because I really, really believe that as a follower of Christ, I really, really believe that God has made it clear to me that we are not to worry about money. There's this like really big, grandiose part in the Bible where he says, the birds. He says back in the Bible time, you could go buy a bird for 2 cents. And he goes, the birds that you can buy for 2 cents wake up with no plan, and every day I feed them. And when a single bird dies, I know about it. And he says, yeah, you worry about everything you're going to eat and how you're going to live and how you're going to do this and that. He says, this bird's 2 cents and you're far more valuable. You're my favorite creation I've ever made. And he said, I will tell you, I will take care of you, not to worry. And I haven't told you the full story of how I walked across Spain, but I had $300 in my bank account, and I had this pride of asking my parents for help, because they didn't support me on dropping out. So I thought, I'm never going to ask my parents for help. I'm going to prove them wrong. But I really wanted to get to a creator event in New York City, and I couldn't afford it. So I said, and one of my Christian friends said, bro, you're acting with pride. You're saying that you never want to ask your parents for help. And I said,
too young to not ask our parents for help. You're right, yeah.
And so I asked them to buy me a ticket to New York City, and they did. And I stayed on people's couches. And the day before I came home, there's a whole longer story to it, but because we don't have time, I'll sum it this way. I sent this dude a cold email, this author I looked up to. He's a millionaire, and he said, I'll pay for you to walk 200 miles across Spain. And this guy I never met paid for me to go walk across Spain, and I was literally broke, and this dude paid for the whole thing, and I had the time of my life, peak 10 out of 10 happiness, telling people about God. And I was just like, why? Like, God's just proved to me that, like, I said, God, I trust you, and here he proved it to me that I don't need to worry about money. And now someone might hear that and mistake that I think, which you asked me a long time ago, you said, do you think soul wealth and wealth are mutually exclusive? And I don't think that you need to be broke. I don't think that you need to like just take these crazy risks and never make money. I just think that people idolize work. Like, work is their
I don't idolize work. I look at work as a means to an end, and I look at it as something that I'm very good at.
Yeah.
And I also think that, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that my motivating factor is wanting to reach my fullest potential.
Yeah.
And so it's like I've proved to myself that anything that I want is within my reach. And it's like, I want this. Like, I want to have something that allows me the time freedom aspect of not working a 9 to 5, not working a traditional job. But I also want the financial freedom. And it's like, the biggest thing that I'm struggling with is like making, just making enough time for things other than work and like the gym. And it's like, I don't know how to like balance it. And it's, a lot of it does have to do with the amount of school that I'm taking. But even then, it's like,
I think it's important to acknowledge that there will be times where you work a lot harder than you don't.
Agreed.
And I do think that like you're gonna have to come out of school and you're gonna get a lot more free time. This is the issue though, because I think there's a very real possibility where you get out of school, you start managing your time, you don't have the whole barrier of school, and you manage your time well, and you really enjoy your job, and you really enjoy your time with your friends, and life could be great for you. What I fear and what I think you should be hyper aware of is that the type of person you're training yourself to become is to fill your hours. And so I think there's a very real possibility where school ends and then you just put something in.
Yeah.
And that something is probably not going to be quality time with the people you love. And I'm always saying that because I've done it myself over and over and over again. And
that's why I asked you.
It's not a one-time solution. It's every day asking yourself on a macro and micro level, like if I were to die, would I enjoy this? And then just also so much, dreams are great. Dreams are freaking awesome. I have so many dreams. I know you know that, and I know you have so many dreams that if you feel some way, whether that is happy, whether that is stressed, whether that is anxious, and you think that attaining something, whether it's money, whether it's a dream, is going to change the way you feel now, you're just setting yourself up for huge disappointments.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you got it.
No, and I reached that conclusion when I first got myself into like weightlifting. I was like, literally, I had this idea in my mind. I was like, when I look like this, I'm going to be happy. And then 10 months later, I was like, I feel good.
Yeah.
And then exactly what did I do? And like, I was like, okay, what's next? And obviously, like, I hit that point, and this is going super into detail, but I was on this super strong ADHD medicine.
Yeah.
Fuck ADHD medicine. Sorry if anyone else is on it, but like, I stopped taking that entirely.
Yeah.
I have a lot clearer of a head, but I stopped taking that medicine, and I gained a lot of weight, and I was like really not back in my shape. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm back to square one, not square one, but I was like back to square 50.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to re-attain this goal. And it's like, every time I hit a goal, it's like, it's actually almost sad almost, because it's like, I think I need, one thing that I really want to consciously work on is actually enjoying the journey more. Throughout my life, I've had this struggle of like feeling like I have to hate where I am. Exactly what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Hate where I am to want to get to this brighter and better future, but the grass is never greener. And I keep having this lesson thrown in my face. When I was applying to schools here in California, for those of you that don't know, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
You couldn't point it at a map. You literally could not point at it. I bet if I gave you a map in the United States right now, no, you couldn't.
Yeah.
Flyover country. So I burned a lot of bridges, and I made a lot of people upset because I was just very vocal and outspoken about not being happy in St. Louis and wanting to go back or wanting to go to California. And I look back now and I realize that there was a better way to do that.
Yeah.
And there's a better way to do that. And I struggle with finding, no, you guys you're all good. I struggle with finding that balance of wanting to be content to the point where I'm not frustrated at my situation and I'm enjoying this, like the things that are going well. My mind consistently has been going towards the negative. I'm like, I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, you guys are good. Dude,
There's a lot.
There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot of.
I really admire your ability to be honest about enjoying the journey, because the amount of times people tell me that quote, like it's all about the journey. It's all about the journey. And then I look at how they live their lives, And much like most people, they idolize the future, but they just throw around the quote, enjoy the journey. And they think that that's the solution. And
it's a hard thing.
I admire you saying that you don't actually do that, because
It's hard.
Knowing the quote, enjoy the journey, and living it is very, very different. And there's something that really helped me, and a very unique experience was walking across Spain.
Yeah.
And I had been aware of the quote, enjoy the journey, but something really specific happened to me, which is, so for those of you who don't know, I walked 150 miles across Spain this summer. And basically the way it works is you wake up in one small town in Spain and you walk to another small town in Spain, and then you sleep.
That's really
You wake up, you do it again. But I walked with 2 other kids who were my age, and they're both athletes. One of them was almost an Olympic swimmer, the other weightlifter. I like lifting weights. So we're 3 athletic kids. And so for the first 3 days, we would all wake up and we would we're not sprinting, it's a walk, but we're like walking with a purpose, trying to get there as fast as possible. And then every single day for the first 3 days, we had a destination in mind. When we got to the destination, we'd go further. And the 3rd day, I have an autoimmune problem that I got diagnosed with. So it makes me a lot weaker and fatigued. And I started to feel sick. And my friends literally wanted to race. They wanted to be like, let's see out of us 3 who can get to the destination faster. And I said, guys, I feel sick. I'm too competitive. I can't let myself do this.
You guys are totally fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I said, I'm too competitive. I can't let myself race or I'm going to end up sick. And so I said, you guys race. I'll walk slow today. And so they raced to the finish line. They ended up, you're already getting so many injuries from walking this many miles a day. They pulled their hamstring. They both sustained injuries. I walked the slowest I walked. It was the 4th day. I walked the slowest I walked. Because I wasn't with my friends, I was just saying hi. Feel free to walk by. Because I was with my friends, I wasn't with my friends, I talked to way more strangers. There was a girl who I thought was attractive. I ended up talking to her. She introduced me to her friends. Her friends introduced me to their friends. Those were the people that I ended up walking the rest of the thing with. They became some of my best friends I still stay in contact with to this day. And I ended up in the same destination that my other 2 friends ended up at.
But I bet you had a lot more fun.
And I realized, bro, this is literally the metaphor for life, is that here the destination is a city. But like in life, people pick this destination. They go, once I have financial freedom, once I get this, once I do this. And they run there as fast as they can. And they might beat me there. But the thing is, I'm going to get there and I'm going to have a lot more fun along the way. I'm going to be less stressed. I'm not in a rush. I met all these friends. I was talking to them in Spanish. And I literally was like, dude, it was like a slap in the face, because I heard that quote so many times. I was like,
this is what they mean. This is what they mean.
And it's like, that was just that experience to like live it out was just so valuable to me. And another thing that helped me is like, I think there's a quote in The Office where Andy's like manager, and he's just like, it's like a really emotional scene. He's like, I just wish I knew I were in the good old days before I left.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I've experienced that countless times, and I don't know how to, I struggle so hard with, like, I think I push myself too hard to do too much. And then I think that causes me to not enjoy any of it. If that makes sense. I'll be like, I mean, you should see my fucking to-do list every day. It like never gets done. So it's just like, it gets done, but it's like, I've had to be very on edge, for lack of a better words. I've been very, like, I don't know, like working in real estate is very stressful as it is. It's very like, fuck, dude, we'll do photos. They need them in 24 hours, and I gotta like send them out to our editor, and it's just a lot of pressure. And I think a lot of that pressure translates onto myself. And I think also like, I need a better system on how to de-stress, I think is what I need to do, is because I'm like, I struggle a lot with having to, or needing to feel like I am, like you said, filling my hours, but then I just end up having I have like 1 hour to myself every night.
Feel free to come.
Yeah, you guys are all good. Don't worry. Yeah, no worries, guys. Thanks, you too.
A couple of things that come into my mind. So there's like a self-help response that comes into my mind, which is Tim Ferriss.
I love Tim Ferriss.
He's one of the most popular gurus, and he was like the first person to popularize like making a living, but not like striving for like the 4-hour work week. The whole concept of the 4-hour work week was that you work for 4 hours and you make a living. And he talks about the 80-20, which is like
Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. I know.
And I think that like this is just a really macro thing on what you said. Feel free to come through. Is like when clients are being like, if there's clients that are causing you the most amount of stress, you should cut those and pour into the people. And that's like a whole different thing, which I don't want to get into that this podcast, but
yeah, it's okay. That's a really good point.
De-stressing it, and I always bring things back to Jesus, and that's because I really believe in him. But one of the traits that I most admire about Jesus, and I've only heard a couple of Christians talk about it, it's not like the really obvious ones like forgiveness or like love, is being interruptible. So it's like Jesus had a more important to-do list than me. Like on an everyday, daily basis, he was healing people. He's like preaching the word. He's doing things that matter much more than what I'm doing. But then on a macro scale, like his dream, or we'll call them his dreams, although they're not his like dreams because he knew what he was going to do. On a macro scale, he literally was like, if you're a Christian, you believe he died. Like he's the hero of the whole story. He's the hero of the universe. That's what we believe. But Jesus in the Bible, every time he's going to preach a sermon, every time he's going to like do his quote unquote work, there will be people. And at the time, it was a class society. So they really looked at poor people as like scum of the earth. And they really looked at prostitutes as scum of the earth. They even looked at women as less than men. And Jesus in the Bible, every time when someone would want his attention, he would stop and give it to him. He's extremely interruptible. And I still use to-do lists. I have an app called Things 3 that I love, and I'm building out my Notion. I love it.
I need to get on Notion, bro.
I can connect to you, and I can help you with Notion.
See, I need Notion.
But
I'm like organized, but like I need to be.
I'm a serial like to-do list person.
Me too.
But it's very natural to follow up being a serial to-do list with valuing your to-do list more than anything that's not on it, which includes time with people.
That's a really, really good point.
My to-do list is fill every day. I have tasks that I can do all the time, but I'm always willing to be interrupted because that's how when I tell people I want to be remembered for loving others, I want to be remembered for helping people, pouring into others, then if every time someone wanted my attention, I was just like, I'm too good for that, or like, it's not that you sit there and go, I'm too good for this person, but you sit there and you go, like, my time needs to be spent here. Like, my time needs to be spent here. But you don't realize that your actions speak louder than words. If you're someone who constantly chooses your to-do list, well, then you're constantly telling other people, like, that you don't love them. And that's like, time is a reflection of love. You spend time with the things you love most. If you love your business, you'll spend the most time with it. If you love your girlfriend, it's like, why you sitting here, even knowing that you lack a little bit in relationships, you still have a good relationship with your girlfriend because you love her.
And she loves me, more importantly. No, I'm serious. Like, she's seen me at my worst and at my best, and she loves me the same on both days.
Unconditional. Not
unconditional. Like, is that your alarm? Yeah. She's, Danielle Peterson, if you're watching this, I love you so very much, and you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. But she's but the thing is too, like, I'm gonna take that advice and I'm gonna spend more quality time with her because she helps me out so much with the business. She's come out to shoots and has held a reflector. She's actually literally, as we speak, she's helping me like put some shit in a binder for our contractors that we're training up. So she's like an extension of myself.
I need to stop you right
here. Yeah.
Think about how you were talking about your girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's probably how you want people to talk about you.
Yeah.
But the reason you talk about your girlfriend that way is because what she sacrifices for you, what she does for you. But what you do is for yourself. And like, that's the shattering moment, because that's the same realization I had with my ex-girlfriend, was that if I were to die, she's going to remember me for being a workaholic. Yeah. And maybe, feel free to come through. And maybe she'll be like, because she's so unconditionally loving, she won't remember me that way. But like, if I'm being honest about my actions, like that's how she should remember me. And again, like I'm all for like providing and making money, and I don't think the two are mutually exclusive, but it's just like constantly reminding yourself, literally think about the way you're speaking about your girlfriend. And it's like, you want to be talked about the same way.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, 100%. No, it's 100%, dude. Like, and I think all three of the things that we talked about, like the enjoying the journey and like not filling the schedule, but like giving time to, it's tough. It's tough. It's really tough.
It's not a solution. It's a constant checking yourself like over and over and over again. Because bro, I'm the soul wealth guy, and I know this brand, and you could put me in front of a 10,000 audience and I could explain to them exactly what soul wealth is and how it works. But bro, like I still up till 2 a.m. editing podcasts, doing this, and I'm like, I gotta check myself. But something that's really, really helped me is saying like, okay, I know the type of person I am. I have filled to-do lists and I have these things and I like to be productive, but it's just saying like, when there's opportunity, you take it. Like, and this is like you coming on my podcast. Yeah. Like, I appreciate this.
I appreciate you having me on the podcast, dude.
It's not saying like, it's like, I know you have other stuff you could be doing, but choosing to come on here, and maybe in terms of Rev video productions, it will put you a little, you could have spent these 2 hours doing something for that.
Something that probably wouldn't have ended up mattering.
But this I'll remember about you. This I'll speak about you.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like, I mean, and it's...
I'm glad that I don't think you and I have ever actually sat down.
Yeah, hey, I've been wanting to sit down and talk to you for a long time, and it's like, and our freaking pride, mine and yours, it's not me calling you out, like just, like being so friggin' busy, it's like, busyness is...
To what end?
It's just an excuse for the things you don't love enough. It's like...
Yeah.
It's like, you clearly love your business so much, that's why you're putting time, and it's like a means to an end, but if the end is to have, I know there's like a multiple ends, like you like, oh, I don't want to work enough. So I also don't want to work enough. It's like, all right, I want to provide for, like, you probably want to provide for your girlfriend. You like love what she's doing.
Actually, to that point, she started her own business because of like everything that I did with my business. She has her own business doing web design and branding. She did our logo, our website. Yeah. So she's got her own shit going on. She's
shout out her business.
So it's Amber Creative Co. AMBR CREATIVE and then CO. We recently just did a branding photo shoot last week. Yeah. So like shit like that, and I was like, that was something that actually was so cool because I was able to be creative without being in my business. So she rented a studio and we did like a branding photo shoot for her new like web template shop that she's doing, and it was just me and her taking photos. Like it was really fulfilling.
I mean, like you talk about your girlfriend, how she's like the greatest thing that's happened to you and stuff, and it's like, let's just play like hypothetical situations. Yeah. It's like, people always talk about love and like keeping the peace. It's like, your girlfriend loves you now when you're a nobody and you just do work. So it's like, why are you so eager to I know like you're eager to make money and to like create this good future, but if this good future comes at the sacrifice of your time and your ability to like love, then you're gonna wish, and that will push more people away than making money and taking on new stress and new stuff will push relationships further away than just being happy with what you have. I don't know what I'm trying to say is, I'm really struggling to say it, but it's like your girlfriend's already proved to you that she'll be with you in these moments. So why are you trying to like get somewhere that's just going to take time away from you?
That's a really good question. I guess for me, I mean, like, for one, like, she believes in it and supports it, and she's one of the reasons why it's actually happened. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, like, the confidence that she's given me to be able to feel like I can be a business person and I can like walk into a room full of 30-year-old realtors and deliver a presentation in front of them without stuttering once is like really what proved to me that like I'm doing the right thing. I think right now I've been consumed by it because it's in that initial phase of like getting it off the ground. But I will tell you, and I mean like the caution that you have is really valid, and that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want to sacrifice my relationships with my family, my friends, and her for that end. But I think that right now I look at it as an investment of my time to be able to spend more time later. And I know that that's feeding in. I know that that's feeding into that future state. And I know that maybe if we have this podcast, if we do a follow-up a year from now, maybe I'll say the exact same thing. And I'll own that. And I'll own that, hey, it actually, you were right. And that it's just always going to be another level. But my long-term goal with this business is either sell it or hire a CEO to be able to run it for me. And I just collect passive income and I'm able to do creative projects in which I don't have to worry about my financial stability. Because for me, and like security is like super like over talked about. And I'm like, I don't want to have the security of a 401k and working a 9-to-5 and having a career and retiring at 65. I want to retire at 35, have time with my kids, have time to be able to spend with my family. And it's like, yes, it's an investment in my time right now. And it's it does suck, but also to that point, if I died tomorrow, I probably would have a lot of regrets about what I did in the last 8 months. I operate under the assumption that, I'm going to hypocrite myself right now. Like I'm operating under the assumption that I'm working towards a better future for myself. And it's exactly what you said. Like I will be happy then. And it's not like I'm thinking about it like that. It's not like I'm thinking like, oh, I'm not happy now. I have nothing. No, I'm very content. I'm very happy with where I am in life. But it's that pushing of like, I want to be more free and have more time on my hands to be able to dude, music is huge for me. I played piano my whole life. I haven't touched the piano in 2 years and I hate it and it sucks. But there's only so many hours in my day. And I'm like, if I can pack my days now and like most people fail. And this is a quote that got me through my grandfather's passing is most people fail because they give up what they want most for what they want now. And it's like, what I want most is the freedom to be able to spend my time with my family and my friends and be that person where, you know, anybody can lean on me. And I do still, if anybody needs my help, if anybody calls me, like, fuck, I'm picking up and I'm always having conversations with people that are close to me. I think also it's like, I struggle with wondering how much energy to give to other people versus how much to keep. You guys are good. And how much to keep for myself, because throughout most of my life as an extrovert and as somebody that was really, 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 really focused on or really just trying to seek other people's approval, I realized that, you know, like it's a two-way street. Like I gotta have some time for myself, and I gotta have, you know, there's just a lot of things that I struggle with that, like, I know what you're saying, I know where you're coming from, just from a really, truly, like, holistically, like, beneficial way and wanting to like, see me happy. And, like, I need to find a more balanced way to go about that, I think. Because I think you can't have both.
No, there's a lot you're saying, and it's like, dude, I really, like, respect for the way you're laying everything out, because I just feel like it's so honest, and that's
right. That's what I'm trying
always the goal, and I try to be, like, honest, too, because, like, I'm a freaking grinder, too. I spend so much time, like, in work. I think there's, like, two things that come to mind is, like, being aware of what your goal is so that when you get there, you're not just looking for the next thing. It's like right now you're saying that you want to have more time, but are you going to, when Rev Video Productions takes off and you're not in school and you have opportunities, just double down and keep building bigger, are you going to take those opportunities to
take those moments for
to relax and to really hand over your baby and to really hire people out and to make less money so you can have more time? But then I think, like, this is something, because I hate just only thinking about solutions and stuff for the future. And I think what I really, really believe, because it's been true for me, and I guess I can't promise you that's true.
No,
is I really believe there's a misconception, and I mentioned this earlier, that time equals productivity and efficiency. I really believe that today you lost 2 hours because of the podcast and you could have been working.
I didn't lose.
I really believe that the information you learned here is going to make your life better. And so if that can happen in a podcast with me, that can also happen in a hangout with another friend and I think that a good question to ask yourself is like, why are you trying to go so fast? Like, if you did a little bit less for Rev, would it crumble?
No. And that's a really, 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 really good point. And I think I need to relearn this lesson because I did have a moment like that over towards the end of the summer. Danny, my girlfriend, and I went camping. 3 days. Turned my phone off the entire time. No contact with anybody. I came back on Monday and
everything was fine. Dude,
I get this anxiety like if
she's gonna burn, bro. If I'm I'm coming up on a day where I don't have a podcast film, I'm like, bro, the world's gonna end. But bro, no, it's not. And you know, the only one who's gonna notice that I didn't post about me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who's gonna notice.
But that eats at me though. That eats at me when I'm like, I know that I could have. Oh, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. It eats at me when I'm like, and the struggle that I have, the really big struggle that I have, and I don't know what the solution is for this, is when maybe the solution is just shutting my phone off, because that seems to be doing a lot of help. And that's another thing that we could probably say for a whole different podcast session of like how social media and like technology can negatively affect your mental health. Because dude, like I just, even on Do Not Disturb, I'll be like going to notification center. I was like, who texted me? I was like, always thinking about clients, and just giving all of my attention to the business. You're totally right. And I think I'm going to walk away from this knowing that like, I need to take that time for myself. And the problem is because it's not like that I don't know that that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because I know it's a problem. It's like I feel like an addict. Yeah. I feel like an addict. I feel like it's working. And it's like it's not causing me enough pain in the moment to be like, I need to stop, but it's just enough pain for me to notice that like, maybe I shouldn't be spending all of my time every day, all of my free time on this, because it's taking a lot out of me. Yeah. But then when I put it away and I try to pause it and I try to...
Then you feel guilty?
I feel guilty and I feel anxious and I feel this restlessness. I think a general restlessness is the best way to describe it. It's like this like... And I just like, have you had any experience with that? And like,
yeah, I had a lot, but bro, I mean, I know you denied this statement when I first said it, but I really think that work is your idol, because what you're saying is that like when I remove work, like I feel anxious, I feel lost. It's like you're getting, and this is not you, this is America. If you talk to a new person, if we were to go meet someone right down there, the first question you would say is, what is your name? The second question would be, what do you do? Because we get our self-worth in America from our careers. That's why if you lived in Egypt and you live in the Middle East, you know what the second question would be? Who's your dad? Because they get their self-worth from their family ties. Both are bad. But just to focus specifically on America, it's like we've put so much value in our career that like our career is what defines us. Our career is like who we are. And, but again, it's like, dude, it's just, no one wants to be...
You're not going to be remembered for how hard you work. Is that what you're going to say?
I mean...
Because that's a very valid point.
But it's just like, if you're removing time on your career and then you're anxious, which happens to me, I'm not like denying it, but that means you're idolizing it. That means like it's your source of joy. It's your source of happiness. You remove it and you're like, oh gosh, it's a disaster. And
I think it's given me a very strong sense of purpose.
It's almost like it's like how nicotine, you can have a nicotine addiction. It gives you like, when you first hit it, it's like giving you the feeling, but then you have to just hit it to not feel anxious. Yeah. It's like that, but with purpose. It's like you get your sense of purpose from your job. And it's like you need your sense of purpose. So like you like keep coming back for it.
And then it ends up being a detriment or something that's holding me back or something that's kind of
like adding your job, adding purpose to your life. Now it's like you need it to have purpose in your life.
Yeah. I think somewhere along the line that was something that happened, and I think that is a breakthrough right now. I think that's a breakthrough where I'm realizing that it is too much of anything can be bad.
Well, a realization you need to have is that if Rev Video Productions ended tomorrow, you got canceled for some reason, the company couldn't go on, bro, you would be just fine. You work too hard. You would be just fine. I ran out of memory footage. I had to put a new SD card in, which I wish could film 4K. But dude, I mean, this was super, super valuable, awesome conversation. I'll ask you my outro because I got to pee as well.
Yeah, we're gonna pee in the bushes.
Which I've hinted at this question many times.
Okay.
And if you've listened to my podcast to the end, you've heard it before. But when you die, what do you want people to say about you?
That I left the world a better place.
You left the world a better place. All right, bro.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Hug my hands.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go. All right. You take that way. I'll go this way.
Let's cross street.
Oh,